such idea. When you get the idea from another person, just be accept, either to please that person or just to cooperate with him without creating the idea. This is the nature of what we call performing meritorious deeds. There are three ways. It's called somanassa sahagata, jnana samprayutta, asankharika. These three qualities must be there in our mind when we are going to do any kind of meritorious deeds. Otherwise, we won't get the full result or the effect. Somanassa sahagata. The mind must be pure. Pure means at that moment we should not maintain anger or jealousy or ill will and some other evil thoughts in the mind when we perform that religious service or the meritorious. Mind must be pure. Then we have to develop devotion and confidence. These two things are very important. The second one is jnana sampayutta. Understand why we should do this, for what purpose, what kind of services can we render by performing these meritorious deeds. That is called jnana sampayutta, understand. Not only for the namesake, or not as our tradition, or not as our duty. People say what to do, we have to do, this is our duty. That is not the religious attitude. We must have that understanding, how to appreciate and how to perform with confidence. That is called understanding. And the last one, just now I mentioned, asankharika. The idea of doing this meritorious deed is our own. We created the idea that we want to do this. It is not that idea given by another person, then why not you also come and join with our dana or any kind of religious service. So when we create the idea by thinking, by overcoming the hindrances, then we experience the full result of the meritorious. Again, there are three occasions that we have to maintain faith and devotions and confidence. At the beginning, while doing it, and after doing that. Three occasions. Now, you want to prepare to do some meritorious deed. Then you discuss with others, talk with others, how to do this. Then you had to find out whether you got enough money or any other material, or whether you got enough time. That is the way how you prepare for that. That is the beginning. Then, while doing that, you must have some sort of purity in your mind, understanding and devotions and confidence while doing it. After doing that, you must know how to experience happiness by considering or by thinking of your meritorious deeds that you have performed. There are certain cases we have noticed. Many people start their religious services or meritorious deeds at the beginning with confidence. They do with confidence. In the end, they create misunderstanding. Then start accusing, blaming, complaining, criticizing. They lose the real value of that marriage. Because the last thought has polluted the mind. So purity must be there in the mind at the beginning, while doing, and after doing this. These are the three occasions. Again, there are three things. All these qualities must be there. Now you are going to do some meritorious deeds. You have to spend for that. Or you have to use certain things that you have accumulated. But this money or the property or the things that you are going to use, you might have collected in correct way, not adapting any wrong method, righteous way, reasonable way. That means that the money or the property must be pure. You can do meritorious deeds by stealing or bluffing others, swindling others, smuggling. You can do meritorious deeds, but you won't get the full result. Because the material that you use is not pure. Second thing, your mind must be pure. Just now I explained. Third one, the person who receives your things with the food or any other kind of offering, if it is dana or some services, and they too must have some sort of good qualities, religious way of life. If they have no such religious purity in their mind, in their way of life, you won't get the full result. Now, these are the three things. First thing, the materials must be pure. Second thing, your mind must be pure. Third one, the one or those who receive, who accept your dana or your gift or your offering, also must have some good religious qualities and virtues. Again, in another discourse, the Buddha has mentioned how we increase the degrees of our merits. When you offer, say, dana, when you give some food to animals, or cats and dogs or birds or any kinds of animals, definitely you get some merit. By feeding those animals, you get some merit. Again, you offer some food to someone who is very cruel, very selfish, and no religion at all. Even then, you get more merit by offering this food to that man rather than offering food to animals. Because human value is more, what you call, humane qualities, some sort of virtues are there. Even in the worst wicked man's mind, also there are some good qualities. We cannot find 100% bad man in this world. On the other hand, 100% good man also we cannot find. In every good man there are some weaknesses. In every bad man there are some good qualities. Then you offer your food to a person who observe 5 precepts, then you gain more merit than offering this food to an ordinary man who never observes any precept. Then go on increasing 5 precepts, 10 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, then a fully ordained monk who observe more and more precepts. Then you also increase many degrees of your merits because of their virtues and good qualities. Then you offer this food to a Sotapanna who attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna. More merit. Then Anagami, Sakadagami, Anagami, 4 stages. Increase. Then Arahant, highest, saint, perfect, holy, religious person, you get more merit. After that you offer your dana to a Pacheka Buddha, a silent Buddha, solitude Buddha, gain more merit than offering to an Arahant. Then you offer your food to Samma Sambuddha, supreme enlightened the Buddha, the highest merit, by offering to the Buddha. Again, the Buddha says, when you offer your food to a Buddha together with the monk, Arahantas, you get more merit. This is the way how we explain the degrees of merits we gain by performing our dana or this kind of religious services. Again, our aspiration, our aim, or the purpose, why we want to do this kind of meritorious deed. For what purpose? Usually, people practice dana and various kind of religious services by expecting very good result, to be born in heaven, to enjoy their life. That is the purpose. If not, to be born in a very rich family, to enjoy worldly life. According to the Buddha, this is very, very low, very ambition, low qualities. That ambition, because the purpose of giving, offering, is to reduce our craving. But here, we increase our craving more and more because of this ambition. On the other hand, some people create this ambition. By the virtues of this merit, may we get a chance to have more knowledge, more wisdom, more understanding, more energy, more confidence, more courage, so that we can support others, educate others, help others, relieve others' suffering. That ambition is higher than the first one, because he is not doing this ambition or the aspiration only for his own benefit or only his own pleasure. Again, the Buddha says it is not completed. Some others create this aspiration. So by the virtues of this merit, may I get the chance to eradicate all my evil thought, craving, selfishness, anger, jealousy, grudge, ill will, enmity, all weaknesses, purity, perfection, then final salvation. Otherwise, we never gain it. This is the way how we had to create our aspiration when we perform some meritorious deeds. So we should not be crazy toward worldly pleasure to enjoy our life, because these enjoyments are means to an end. That means only for a certain period. After that, no more. And we do not know what will happen to us. We cannot enjoy forever. There is a limited period for that. See, the real Buddhistic method, because the purpose of our religious life, religious activities, is to find out our liberation, deliverance, salvation. Not to enjoy worldly life. Enjoyment creates disappointment, frustrations in the end. Never gives happiness in the end. Why all these existing religions talk about salvation? What is this salvation? But we don't use the word salvation. We use liberation or deliverance, freedom. Without any controversy, every existing religion accepts. Here we have more sufferings. We have no salvation, no liberation, so freedom. We are struggling, working day and night to get rid of our problems. We work, we earn, we do everything just to get rid of our problems. So deliverance means all these unsatisfactoriness, pain and unhappiness, sufferings, disappointment, frustrations that we are experiencing disturb our life. Life becomes very miserable. No meaning at all. Day and night we are going on thinking and worrying and do not know what to do, how to get rid of these problems. So, if there is a method for us to get rid of these problems, then we experience liberation, salvation, or deliverance from this suffering. So different religions explain in different ways. Many other religions say this salvation you can gain or you can experience through the influence of God. Therefore, by praying and worshipping, you can find out this salvation from the God. There are few religions never agree with this. And Buddhism is one of them. Buddhism says our freedom, our salvation or liberation, we cannot gain from another person. Whether that person is the Buddha or God or any other supernatural living being. It is impossible. We have to work for that. That is why a religious way of life is important. Without working for that, simply go and worshipping and praying and asking our liberation or salvation, we won't get it. Tumhehi kiccang atappam akkhataro tathagata, the sayings of the Buddha. Tumhehi kiccang atappam you had to work for your salvation. Akkhataro tathagata. Tathagata means Buddha. Buddhas can tell you what to do for them, how to get them. Since you do not know what to do, the Buddhas tell you what to do. But Buddhas cannot do that for you. Another person cannot do that for you. By following the method introduced by the Buddha, we had to practice. Then we can find out our salvation without depending on another person. There are many other methods. Some people believe by performing various kind of rites and rituals and ceremonies and offerings and praying and reciting all sort of things that they can find out their salvation or liberation. Buddhism says, yes, you can perform religious rites and rituals if they are harmless, if they are meaningful, if they are not useless things. But simply by performing rites and rituals and ceremonies and worshipping and praying, you cannot find out your salvation unless and until you work for that. It depends on the purity in your mind. Salvation or liberation is depend on the purity of the mind, not the faith and belief. Faith and belief cannot do that if there is no purity. Then some others believe by torturing this physical body, still exists. Few thousand years ago, this was very common, but now reducing. Burning here and there, cutting here and there, starving without eating food, standing without lying down or without sleeping. Are these kind of self-mortification or torture they practice by thinking they can wash away all the sins and or bad karmas committed by them. Again, Buddhism never accepts this. Buddhism says, your physical body is not responsible for the bad deeds that you have committed. Body cannot create either good deeds or bad deeds. Mind creates the idea. After that, mind uses this physical body to do that. Therefore, mind is responsible. So why do you want to torture your body? You never gain anything, only suffering. If you want to punish, we have to punish your mind, not the body. That is not so easy. How to punish the mind? When the mind is crazy to do some bad thing, at that time we have to think, no, we are not going to do this because we know it is wrong. That is the way how to punish the mind. We don't allow that mind to gain that. We control the mind. We want to do some immoral, very ugly or dirty things. Idea appears in our mind to do that. Then again we think it is wrong, it is immoral, it is ugly, disgraceful. I am not going to do that. Punish the mind again. Somebody come and scold you by using dirty word, wicked word. You cannot tolerate. You also get angry. You also want to jump and shout or beat. Then advise your mind. When he scolds, you should not get angry. You must listen. Listen carefully what he says. If we keep quiet, without showing your anger, controlling your anger, you punish your mind at that time, because you don't allow your anger to flare up. Control the anger. See there with the meaningful or not? This is the technique introduced by the Buddha. To punish our mind, not to allow our mind to do things as the mind wanted to do. Mental discipline, mental training, knowledge, understanding, these qualities are important. Then we know how to deal, how to handle this mind. Then some others, this is very common, always pray and worship to various kinds of God and goddesses and so many other religious objects, thinking that simply by worshipping and praying and reciting something, they can find out their salvation. Again, Buddhism says that is not enough. You can worship, no harm at all. You can recite anything, whatever you like, no harm, but that is not enough. Because you can maintain some sort of purity in your mind only at that time. When you pray, when you worship, when you recite. At that time. When you stop all these things, again the mental impurities or defilement, evil thoughts occupy the mind. It is like this. Assume there is a pond. The water is covered with dust and rubbish. But the water is very, very pure. Covered with dust and all sort of rubbish. So you want to take a bucket of water from this pond. So you go there and shake the bucket like this, and then all the dirt, then you can see pure water there. So you take one bucket, water is pure. Immediately after that, all the rubbish again come and cover the water. So our mind is exactly like this. When we meditate, when we pray, when we worship, when we recite something, at that time the dirt move. So we can hold on to that state of mind. As soon as we stop our religious service, again the rubbish come and occupy the mind. Then craving and jealousy and anger and grudge and evil thought again come. So there is no purity in the mind. If not, we try to guard, to protect our mind without allowing this mind to take external object to disturb the mind. If we can do this for a short period. Now, when you take a big basin, go out and cover the green grass for 1 or 2 weeks, completely covered. After 2-3 weeks, when you take out the basin, you can see the grass turn into white color, no more green color. So when we guard our mind through meditation without allowing external object to come and disturb the mind through the senses, just like the grass covered the vessels or the basin. All right. After removing this basin or the vessel, 3-4 days time when you go back, again you can see grass turn into green color. The mind is like this. This is a very simple example for us to understand the nature of our mind. Always going on changing and changing and changing. The most uncertain thing in this world, our mind. We cannot trust our own mind. Today we are good, but there is no guarantee that tomorrow we will be good. Changes take place in our mind. Today we determine not to do certain bad things. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, slowly, then never mind. Little bit only, then again start. Those who are addicted to liquor or drinking or smoking or certain bad habits, they know these things are wrong. All right, decided not to do that. And after 2-3 days time, they say, never mind, today very cold, therefore take a little bit no harm. Then next day or not again start. These are our weaknesses. Our minds are naturally very weak because we cannot maintain our determination, what we decided. This we can understand very easily when you study the previous birth stories of the Buddha. Such a great man who tried to practice all the 10 perfection, paramitas, good qualities, and various other virtues. How evil forces influence his mind to create bad things occasionally. That is why he was born as animals again. He was born as peacock, squirrel, fish, elephant, lions, because of certain bad karma that he has committed during the previous birth. But since he has done a lot of meritorious deeds and training and discipline, very easily he could come back to the human life again. Now this is the uncertainty. Any moment changes can take place in our mind. And we want to become honest, not to bluff or swindle others, not to steal, not to take away others' things without their permission, or we decide. But when temptation, craving develop in the mind, we have no courage to maintain that principle. Again we violate. So this situation remains in our mind until we attain the higher stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta. Stage by stage, we are going on reducing all our weaknesses. So we should not behave like hypocrite, pretending that we have attained the higher stage and we are pure and we are holy, we are perfect and this, we are arahantas, all rubbish, We have to face fact. Don't pretend. Don't bluff others. Admit our own weaknesses. We know the difficulty of getting rid of one particular weakness. Let us take simple, very simple one. Can we get rid of our jealousy? Do you think it is so easy? In fact, jealousy does not contribute anything for our benefit. We don't gain anything. Even then, we cannot get rid of our jealousy. Our selfishness. We are are selfish in various ways. Some people are very generous, very understanding, very liberal-minded. Even then, there are certain degrees of selfishness you can find in them. So these things we cannot wipe out, wash away at once. That is why the Buddha had to work life after life after life, one by one, reducing and cultivating and developing the mind until he attained his enlightenment. Even then, the final birth, when he was born as Prince Siddhartha, after fulfilling all the 10 paramitas and perfection, he was misled by many other religious groups. He followed their method. For 6 years, for nothing, he had to suffer. Because those common religious beliefs that existed in India, their religious teachers advised this young prince, after his renunciation, you must practice all these things if you want to gain enlightenment, if you want to find out your salvation. So he followed it. That means the ignorance is still very strong in his mind. If there is no ignorance, he never followed their advice. So, after practicing all these useless methods, sufferings and nothing but suffering for 6 years, there was nothing for him to eat in that jungle. Sometimes dry cow dung he took as food, or sometimes 1 or 2 leaves from a tree as his food. And without lying down, without sitting properly, concentrating and meditating under the trees, under the sun and the winter and the summer, he suffered for 6 years, but he did not follow the correct method. Finally he realized this should not be the method. And now he is going to become wise. He realized this because he could not gain anything what he wanted, his knowledge or wisdom or purity or enlightenment. Then decided to lead a normal life without going into extreme to practice a religion. He gave up. So by leading a normal life, very simple, very humble, very reasonable way, then he had the chance to develop the mind, to gain enlightenment. So after gaining his enlightenment, the first advice that he gave to his disciple is this: Dve bhikkhave anta pabbajitena nasevitampa yochayam kamesu kamsu kallikan yogo atta kilamatang yoga. He said, I advise you not to go to these true extremes if you want to lead a religious life. 2 extremes. Kamesu kamasu kallikani yoga. Enjoying, indulging or entertaining senses, the mind and the body, all the while. No one can achieve either purity or salvation or the development in religion or spiritual. So too much of enjoyment hinder, disturb the spiritual world, become slaves to senses. In the end, experience disappointment and frustration. Again he says, Atta kilamathan yoga. It is not necessary to torture your body in the name of religion, to practice your religion. So without torturing or without suffering, you can lead a normal life. And then very easily you can concentrate, you can maintain your intelligence and understanding. If you can practice the correct method, you can find out your ultimate aim. So, because of this advice, Buddhism is called Majjhima Patipada, middle path. Buddhism is called middle path. That means not to go to either this extreme or that extreme, to practice this religion. So it is very liberal, very rational, very meaningful, very reasonable, very practical religion. That is why all over the world people have chosen only Buddhism from that country. There were many other influential, very powerful, popular religions in India at that time. Brahmanism, Hinduism, Jainism, they are very popular religions. But the people from other countries like China, Japan, Korea, Mongolia, Tibet found out the practices and belief or religious tradition in all those religions are confined only to Indian way of life. They cannot find out the universal value. Their belief and practices are not common to whole mankind. When they come to practice, they found out lot of problems and difficulties. But they have chosen Buddhism because Buddhist practices, Buddhist way of life is not confined to Indian way of life. It is for the whole mankind in any part of the universe. Universal values you can find in the Buddha's teaching. That is why 2000 years ago, Chinese have accepted Buddhism as their own religion. Otherwise they never accepted it. And then Chinese introduced this to Korea. Koreans introduced this to Japan. After that, Buddhism became a world religion. Otherwise, Buddhism never become a world religion. It remains only here in Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, that's all. $2,500 years old teaching still remains very fresh. There is nothing for us to point out that this is out of date, fresh. Forever remain this as a fresh doctrine of the Dhamma. Akaliko. There is no time limit to tell anybody that Buddhism can be practiced only within this period. After that become out of out of order or out of date. There's nothing, no one can point out. Forever remain as the truth. But because of our ignorance, we won't be able to understand the truth. Quite possible. So, Dharma is eternal. Dharma is truth. If it is truth, there is nothing to change in the truth. If it is changeable, how can we say that it is true? We cannot use that word. Since it is not changeable, we say, this is the nature of the Dharma. I don't know what happened to me. Just wanted to talk to you, then went very big rounds. Without any subject or object. Started with performing religious services, how to perform, at a very big round. nearly 45 minutes. Say anything else? So today also I don't want to use the book. After this, somebody requested me to start Dhammapada every Friday. One stanza and related to the story and explain the Dhamma, so we can continue the whole Dhammapada. Because this one is going to finish already. Next Friday I think I can complete this one, then start Dhammapada. Still got time. I am also tired. Last night I could not sleep in Elostar. So tired. I got up about 3 something, after that could not sleep. Any question? What you heard just now, they are very important information for you to understand. When you are going to do some religious services or meritorious deeds or some service to others, how to consider, how to understand. Otherwise, we are going to waste our time and everything. Through understanding, we have to do all these things. We must never do as our traditions or as our duty or just to please others. There is no religious value. According to our own conviction, our understanding, confidence, then we will be benefited. Any questions? Why you are very lazy to ask questions? I think we have to train a group of people how to ask questions. Non-self. Oh. It's very simple. Non-self means no self. That's all. If we can think that there is no self, that is called non-self. 3 characteristics in Buddhism. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. If anyone can understand only these 3, it's not necessary to learn anything else. The whole Buddhism is there. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. You might have heard more than 1,000 times these words. Anicca means everything that which exists in this universe or any part of the universe is subject to impermanence, change. Can you point out anything that which never changes? That is called truth. This truth never changes. No one can change this. Either in this world or any other part of the universe, whether life or elements or matters or anything, if come into existence, that become that subject to change. If no changes, no existence. Existence takes place because of changes. Can you understand this? Scientific interpretation. Because of changes, existence takes place. Otherwise, no visible object. So when the Buddha mentioned all these things 2,500 years ago, many people could not understand. It is true, no argument. Dukkha. Dukkha means unsatisfactoriness in everything. Also true. So whatever we gain, in the end or halfway, we gain or we experience some sort of unsatisfactoriness. Either we get fed up with that, if not, that thing creates troubles and problems and worries and disturbances. The thing that we gain, that is called unsatisfactoriness. It is true. Say, poor people wanted to become rich, very rich, to enjoy life. After becoming very rich or millionaires, now they have more fear, more worries, more suspicion, more insecurity feeling. At any time people come and kidnap. Any time people come and bluff and swindle. That is called unsatisfactory. So, people want to get married when they are very young, thinking they can lead a peaceful, very happy, very prosperous life. After their marriage, then start to grumble. They say, if we never knew earlier this is so miserable, so horrible, actually we never get married. Because they have no courage to face the disturbances, clashes, calamities, disagreement. That is why we have to strengthen our mind to face this problem. Even then, divorce can take place. Those who have no children, again worry. So they say the marriage is useless. And those who cannot control also worry, so many children. Another big headache. And when children are not obedient, another headache. When children are sick, another headache. When children are not intelligent, another headache. When children grow and become teenagers, then they want to find out their partners, girls and boys. Parents cannot agree because they are racial, religious background. Again, disappointment. See, these things are natural, common. Those who want to lead a worldly life must have courage to face these problems. So whether they learn how to face them or not, disturbances, disappointment, unhappiness, frustration take place. in everything. Again, this life, this body, we like this so much, day and night, whole day and night, throughout our life, we attend to this, look after this, to maintain this. But how many unwanted, unexpected things, unhappy, miserable things happen to us? Sicknesses, all kinds of sicknesses, old age, blindness, then all the five senses become out of order. The brain also doesn't work properly, memory also gone, and hand and legs cannot do anything. Then what is the use of this life? Life becomes real nuisance, real burden to us as well as to others. Here we can understand what the Buddha says. In everything we can find this unsatisfactoriness, not only in our life. Let us take plant life, sicknesses, old age, death, just like our life. That unsatisfactoriness we can find in everything, not only in our life. This is the nature of existence. Easy to understand, these two. But because these things are visible, tangible, certain things. But the last one, anatta, just now you asked, what is this non-self? This belief, soul or self, created by human beings due to lack of understanding of human mind. Those days, their knowledge about the mind was very, very poor. That is why they have created this concept, this belief, there is a soul, either created by God or come into existence naturally, automatically. So the soul is responsible for our life. This belief is very strong. So the Buddha is the only religious teacher in this world who said, this is only imagination. The concept of soul is only imagination. So when he analyzed the human mind, he pointed out these are the four mental faculties. This is the nature of mental energy. This is the nature of consciousness. And no place for soul or self in his analysis. So this is only our belief. So the difficulty is, since people have maintained this belief, it is difficult for them to get rid of this. That's all. Otherwise, in reality, there is no such thing as soul or self. Now for me, there is no difficulty at all to think, to understand or to believe that there is no soul. Let us take scientific analysis. Then we gain little bit confidence. Albert Einstein says, when we analyze this world or this universe, element and energies, we go on analyzing. In the end, there is no element, no matters, no world, no universe, only some sort of vibration. Exactly the same thing what the Buddha says. When we analyze this life, there is nothing to remain as soul or self. Then we gain little bit of confidence. Mahayana schools of Buddhism elaborated, given more details, especially Nagarjuna, one of the best Mahayana philosopher. He has written volumes of books on this subject. And he introduced this as sunyata. sunyata, voidness. Voidness. That means nothing. There is nothing. That means no everlasting substance, unsubstantiality. So when we analyze and analyze and analyze, there is nothing to remain as everlasting substance, just like soul or self that people believe. An example is given in one of our books. They say bullock cart. We say there is a bullock cart. All right? We remove the two wheels and those two pieces of this and the hood and turn into pieces, separate. Now we can see only these pieces but no bullock cart. Then what happened to the bullock cart? Bullock cart is a concept. When those pieces join together, we give the name bullock cart. But in reality, there is no bullock cart. So when this body also analyzes into mental energies, into element, there is no so and so. There is no man, there is no woman. But these are the concepts given by us when these things combine together. So the belief in self, soul, is our imagination due to lack of understanding of our mind. That's a very good question. Another one? Last one. Yes, young man. What happened to you today? Sleepy. What is your question? Art of talking. Explain. Oh, very good. Art of talking. That means talk as much as possible. Everybody says when we observe silence, it's very good, then we become religious. Buddha is a very practical religious teacher. He never followed this traditional belief. In one of his discourses, the Buddha says, only foolish people keep quiet without talking. Because they have nothing to talk. Because there are so many good things for us to talk. To enlighten others, to teach others, to guide others, to advise others. Why keep quiet? That is the Buddha's argument. Then he says, if you haven't got anything to talk, any valuable thing, better to keep quiet without talking rubbish. Art of talking depends on our words, what sort of words that we are going to use to express our idea. That is the first thing. Second thing, our tone, the way how we talk, voice. Then to whom we are talking. Whether we are talking to a child, or a lady, or a man, or an educated man, or uneducated man, or a religious man, or a leader of the country, to whom are we talking? Then we have to change our tune, our tone, our words, our expression, our attitude. That is called, you cannot use the same tone and same word to each and every person. When you go and see Agong, you can say, hello Agong, Agong, how are you today? That means that is not the art of Then, when we get angry, when we emotionally upset, we use different words and different terms. We got to be very careful for that. We must know how to guard our tongue without allowing that mental attitude to express certain things. Later we will come to know that we have done a wrong thing. Then we must know the subject, what we are talking. If people are not interested on that particular subject that you are talking, don't waste your time. I remember some time ago, one of our members came from Australia. One of our students, after his completion of his studies, he came and started to talk to me. All the while he was talking to me how he played cricket. I do not know anything about cricket in my life. He going on talking, explaining all the details about cricket. That means he doesn't know art of talk, to whom he is talking. So the subject that we are going to use to talk to others must find whether they are interested, whether they can understand, whether they appreciate. When you consider all these things, then you can adjust your art of talking. Okay, sir. 211. Sharing of merit. Imina punya kammena upadhyaya gunottara acari upakarace mata pita priya mamam suryo chandi maharaja gunavanta narapice Brahma Maharaja Indache Lokapalacha Devata Yamo Mitta Manusache Madhyata Verikapiche Sabbe Satta Sukhi Hontu Punyani Pakatani Me Sukhancha Dividang Den